The Isle of Man TT is not just a motorcycle race. It is a 60-kilometer public road circuit where riders reach extreme speeds, but with no runoff areas, no gravel traps, and no margin for recovery. Every corner on this course has a reputation. Some look simple, some look harmless, but history has proven that appearances mean nothing here. For more than a century, this course has tested the limits of human focus, bravery, and control. Riders are not only fighting speed, they are fighting fatigue, pressure, and uncertainty on real roads, surrounded by walls, buildings, and unforgiving landscapes. And what makes it even more intense is this. At the TT, it is not one mistake that defines a rider, it is a fraction of a mistake at the wrong corner. From high-speed sections where everything becomes a blur, to tight village corners where braking comes too late, every part of this course has a story built on risk and consequences. In this video, we are going through those corners one by one to understand where and why things go wrong at the Isle of Man TT. Because once you see what happens here, you will understand why this race is considered the most dangerous road race in the world. Number 1. Creg-ny-Baa. If there is one corner that represents the Isle of Man TT, it is Creg-ny-Baa. The name means Rock of the Cow in the Manx language. Long before motorcycles arrived, this was simply a mountain road junction built during road development projects between the 1860s and early 20th century. Then, everything changed in 1911. That year, the newly created mountain course passed directly through Creg-ny-Baa, and ever since then, every TT rider has had to face it. What makes Creg so dangerous isn't just the corner itself, it's what comes before it. Riders descend from the mountain at incredible speed before arriving at a deceptively tight right-hander. The braking zone is critical. Brake too late and you're in trouble. Brake too early and you've lost valuable time. The corner has witnessed countless crashes, near misses, and race-ending mistakes over more than a century of TT competition. The danger was recognized so clearly that major road modifications were carried out during the 1950s to improve safety and racing flow around the junction. Ask TT fans where they want to watch the race, and many will answer with one word: Creg. Because nowhere else shows the balance between courage and control quite like this corner. At Creg-ny-Baa, bravery alone isn't enough. Precision is everything. Number 2. 11th Milestone. Few sections of the Isle of Man TT mountain course are spoken about with as much respect as the 11th milestone. Like Creg-ny-Baa, it became part of the mountain course when the TT adopted the famous mountain layout in 1911. At first glance, the corner looks simple. But that simplicity is deceptive. High speed, limited visual reference points, and total commitment required from the rider. Over the years, the wider area has been associated with several serious incidents, reinforcing its reputation among riders as a highly demanding section of the course. Even today, it continues to test riders at the highest level. During the 2026 TT, Finnish rider Erno Kostamo was involved in an incident at the 11th milestone during the senior TT and required hospital treatment. What makes this section so challenging is the way it arrives at full racing speed. Riders believe they are in control until the road suddenly demands more. A slightly wrong line, a moment of hesitation, a small bump in the surface. At TT speeds, even the smallest mistake can have serious consequences. And the 11th milestone continues to remind riders of that reality, generation after generation. Number 3. Sarah's Cottage. Sarah's Cottage is one of the earliest named landmarks on the Isle of Man TT mountain course, forming part of the modern layout established in 1911. It sits in a section of the course where riders transition between high-speed open roads and more technical rhythm-based riding. Unlike many famous TT corners, Sarah's Cottage is not defined by extreme braking or sharp elevation changes. Its danger is far more subtle. It is a corner built on rhythm disruption. By the time riders reach this point, they have already spent miles at full racing commitment across the mountain section. They settle into a high-speed flow, reading the road, the wind, and the terrain almost instinctively. Then, Sarah's Cottage breaks that rhythm. The corner requires perfect placement on entry, smooth setup through the bend, and absolute precision on exit. There is no margin for hesitation. What makes it especially challenging is that the surrounding section encourages confidence and speed, but the corner itself demands control and discipline. This contrast is what catches riders out. not because it is the most dangerous corner on its own, but because it interrupts the mental and physical rhythm of the lap. At the TT, even experienced riders have had moments here where timing or positioning felt slightly off, forcing correction at race speed. And at the Isle of Man TT, even a small correction can change everything. Number 4. Rhencullen. Rhencullen is a real section of the Isle of Man TT mountain course, located on the fast stretch between Ballacraine and Creg-ny-Baa. It is not a single sharp corner, but part of a flowing high-speed road where riders maintain extreme racing speed. The danger of Rhencullen comes from its nature as a fast and open section that appears smooth and predictable, which can encourage higher commitment from riders. However, at TT speeds, even these seemingly straightforward sections leave very little margin for error. The proximity of hedges, walls, and roadside boundaries means that small mistakes in line choice or speed judgment can quickly become serious. Unlike technical corners where danger is more obvious, Rhencullen is respected because it offers limited visual warning and demands constant concentration while carrying maximum speed. This combination of high speed, commitment, and minimal forgiveness is why experienced riders treat this section with caution throughout the race. Number 5. Ramsey Hairpin. After spending much of the lap at extremely high speed, riders arrive at Ramsey Hairpin, one of the most famous slow-speed corners on the Isle of Man TT mountain course. The hairpin has been part of the course since the early mountain course layout established in 1911, and it remains one of the slowest and most technical braking points on the entire lap. At first glance, it may appear simple compared to the high-speed sections that come before it, but in reality, it represents one of the most difficult transitions in road racing. The challenge is not the corner itself, it is the approach. Riders arrive at Ramsey Hairpin after many miles of intense concentration and physical strain. They have already spent a long time at racing speed, reading the road at extreme pace, and managing fatigue. Then, within seconds, everything changes. They must reduce speed dramatically from full commitment to near walking pace in racing terms. This requires precise braking control, perfect timing, and absolute accuracy in selecting the braking point. Even a small misjudgment can have serious consequences because there is very little margin for error at the entry. The corner punishes late braking, inconsistent line choice, or any loss of focus. Number 6. Windy Corner. Windy Corner is a real section of the Isle of Man TT mountain course, located in an exposed part of the mountain section where weather conditions can have a noticeable impact on riding. Unlike technical corners defined mainly by layout, this section is influenced heavily by its environment. Because of its open position, riders can experience varying wind conditions here, sometimes changing between laps or even within the same race. These changes can subtly affect bike stability at high speed, requiring small but important adjustments in control and positioning. What makes this section notable is not a specific cornering challenge, but the way external conditions can influence performance without warning. Riders must stay adaptable, as grip, balance, and confidence can feel slightly different depending on the conditions at that moment. For this reason, Windy Corner is respected as a section where awareness matters just as much as speed, and where conditions can shift the riding experience unexpectedly. Number 7. Helen. Helen is a real and well-known section of the Isle of Man TT mountain course, and it holds historical significance in the early years of the event. It is located in a wooded area, where the road follows a natural valley, creating a sequence of flowing bends rather than a single defined corner. In the early history of the TT, this area became associated with one of the first fatalities linked to the mountain course era. In 1911, during practice for the first TT on the newly established mountain course, rider Victor Surridge was involved in a fatal accident near this section. This event became part of the early history that highlighted the risks of road racing on public roads. From a riding perspective, Helen is a technical and rhythm-based section rather than a high-speed or sharply braking corner. The presence of trees and natural landscape can reduce visual references compared to more open parts of the course, requiring riders to maintain precise positioning through a series of bends. The road here demands smooth control and consistency, as the flow of corners and changing direction can affect speed management and line accuracy. Over time, Helen has remained a respected part of the course, not because of a single defining feature, but because it reflects the fundamental challenge of the TT itself, maintaining control and focus on real public roads with constantly changing conditions. Number 8. Ballacraine. Ballacraine is a key junction on the Isle of Man TT Mountain Course, where riders transition between sections of different speed and rhythm. It has been part of the course since the early mountain course layout established in 1911. The section plays an important role because it leads into a faster part of the circuit, making exit speed a critical factor for overall lap time. Riders focus on maintaining a smooth and controlled approach in order to carry momentum safely into the next segment. The challenge comes from timing and discipline. Any mistake in speed management, throttle control, or line selection can affect stability as the road opens up into higher speed sections. For this reason, Ballacraine is respected by riders as a place where control and patience matter more than aggression, since even small errors can quickly impact the flow of the lap. Number 9. Ginger Hall. Ginger Hall is a real section of the Isle of Man TT Mountain Course and appears shortly after the high-speed Sulby Straight, one of the fastest parts of the lap. The corner itself is not extreme in design, but its difficulty comes from the approach. Riders arrive at this point carrying very high speed, which requires precise and well-timed braking to safely enter the bend. Because the section follows such a fast stretch, even small miscalculations in speed or braking point can affect the entire entry. The challenge here is not complexity of layout, but the management of momentum. The transition from maximum speed to controlled cornering must be executed smoothly to maintain stability, since carrying too much speed into the braking phase leaves very little room for correction. Number 10. Union Mills. Union Mills is an early section of the Isle of Man TT Mountain Course, which means riders encounter it while still settling into rhythm after the start. At this stage of the lap, tires are still building temperature, and riders are still adapting fully to race pace. The section runs through a built-up village environment, where roadside features such as walls, buildings, and limited escape space sit close to the racing line. This reduces the margin for error compared to more open parts of the course. Because it comes so early in the lap, riders are still adjusting their braking points and reference markers, which increases the importance of precision and control. In recent years, the area has continued to see serious incidents during TT sessions. During the 2026 event, rider Jamie Kringle was in a crash at Union Mills and required hospital treatment for injuries. What defines Union Mills is not the complexity of the corner itself, but the limited recovery space available if something goes wrong. Unlike closed circuits, there are no runoff areas, so mistakes can have immediate consequences. For this reason, riders approach this section with caution every time they pass through it. What makes the TT truly unique is not just how fast riders go, but how little room they have to make mistakes. Even a small error at the wrong place can completely change the outcome of a race, which is why every corner we covered in this video demands full attention and respect. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want to see more deep stories from the world's most dangerous road races, make sure to like the video and subscribe. More detailed TT content is coming soon, and you won't want to miss it.